Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hayes, and today I'm going to be making a quick guide after those gnarly Frost DK breath nerfs and, of course, mastery nerfs. Just absolutely destroying the breath spec in 7.1.5 a week after they buffed it. You know, it's kind of like that over nerf they did before where they over buffed consistency spec and then nerfed it by another 20%, followed up by another 5% with this nerf. It's just getting a bit crazy, and I'm absolutely astounded, and I'm kind of disgusted with the choices that they've made with Frost DKs in current moment, because they've done the absolute worst thing they could do and nerf down our single target instead of actually scaling our AoE DPS, absolutely killing the reasoning that people are wanting to play the class. And something I've been saying for a long time, and they finally kicked it over and ventured onto it. Now they're seeing the repercussions, and it's absolutely terrible. So anyways, guys, let's jump into this video, and I'll try to give you guys the best viable specs I can after those gnarly nerfs.
It's who we are, it's what we do, we've come so far, and now we pay the price, so don't even cry. The world is breaking down, and I cannot leave the ground.
Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can play out these specs. First off, this is, of course, just kind of the regular consistency DPS spec that you'll probably be rocking in PvE, so you might be pretty used to this one, besides the fact that you're going from Frozen Pulse to Freezing Fog in PvP settings. Now, what you can do with this spec, of course, on your opener is going to be trying to get major gathering of storm stacks, and then, of course, switching out to and from with let's see, where's it at? Of course, Frost Strikes, trying to get as much of that damage because, of course, Icy Talons is going to be running with this consistency spec. And, of course, you want that consistency from Haste. Now, this spec is going to give you more single-target consistent damage out of the two, of course, consistency specs. This one's going to give you the most burst time. It's going to give you the most uptime on that, because really right now our single target is very lacking. Now, the other things I've kind of worked with is, even though our single target is very lacking, there's things we can do with our burst that'll actually improve the DPS during our burst, and switching up, of course, a couple of talents to do that. Now, I've managed to pull out quite a bit of DPS, AoE DPS with the other spec. Of course, this one will probably give you better single target, so I'm going to talk about this one to begin with. Now, kind of the best opener I've found out running, of course, the consistency spec with any consistency spec, of course, with Gathering Storms, is you're going to go ahead and run up to a target, and you're just going to just like face pop on them in PvP. Now, I wouldn't suggest doing this in arena. Try to maximize your DPS for that, but since, of course, our survivability is so dang low on a Frost DK, we got to find a way to burst and deal damage really quickly on something, since chances are we either out damage it or we die. That's really how it works. And for the most part, outside of burst, I've literally had classes that could heal through our damage currently, and that's very, very bad. I literally had a Windwalker, not Windwalker, a Mistweaver monk stand there and be like, really? Is that all you got, Frost DK? And I'm like, I'm geared, I got artifact level, I'm doing everything I can, but, you know, he was literally just like, I don't even got to use my mobility. What are mechanics? You know, like, you know, when they really went too far, when that stuff started happening. That's when I start going a little crazy and start, you know, throwing chairs and throwing insults every which direction, because that crap shouldn't be happening. All right, so let's go ahead and show you guys this little opener. Of course, we got our little macro, our little burst macro going on here with Pillar of Frost, Blood Fury, Remorseless Winter. Now, what you're going to do here is actually you're going to burst, throw up Remorseless Winter during the burst, of course, and lay out as many obliterates as possible. Now, you're wondering, when do I pop obliteration? When your first obliterate comes down, you have no obliterates, and you got a Frost Strike up, you're going to pop obliteration. You're going to hit Frost Strike, and you're going to start hitting obliterate. You're probably going to pop Empowered Rune Weapon around that time, and then start throwing back Frost Strike, obliterate, Frost Strike, obliterate. Now, of course, if you get a Howling Blast proc, you're going to throw that in there. And, of course, if you're closing a target to begin with in PvP, you may want to throw up that Howling Blast to begin with. But it's kind of like a pretty savage opener, pretty fast burst to do on a target in DPS, and of course BG settings, things like that. So you come in on this target, you'll be like, boom, and you'll start laying out those big obliterates. Of course, those big obliterates are going to stack up Gathering Storms quite a bit. We got that first proc thrown up, that Empower, going out them big Frost Strikes, guarantee those crits, while we're, of course, elongating Gathering Storms and putting up as far as we can. Now, if you have the runes, of course, you can dump them more into obliterates to gather more Gathering Storms damage. Whenever that comes up, it is definitely right to proc that as soon as it comes up, and to dump more DPS into that. Getting crits, of course, with Frost Strikes and or obliterates is absolutely insane for the consistency spec. As for using Tundra Stalker getting crits actually reduces the effect. Now, out of these two abilities, out of these three abilities, what am I going to be rocking in PvP? More than likely with the consistency spec Tundra Stalker, even though they nerfed it down another 10%. Overpowered Rune Weapon would be kind of nice for enhancing burst. So maybe the other spec we would actually have the ability to pop Overpowered Rune Weapon instead of Tundra Stalker, just based off of the mechanical stability of what the kind of situation of that spec is going around. So this is, of course, the normal consistency spec you're going to be looking at. As for the other spec, I personally was enjoying this one pretty fun because they buffed up Murderous Efficiency and the proc chance of runes. We gotta wait till we're out of combat. I'm gonna go Murderous Efficiency. I'm gonna split up with Ice Cap. Of course, I'm gonna be running the same talents there. Now I can choose between Tundra Stalker for a little bit more consistency damage. You may want to go with that if you want to deal damage in between bursts. Now, if you want to maximize burst with this spec and deal as much as AoE and of course burst pressure, using this spec, go Overpowered Rune Weapon. Why? Because that's gonna put, of course, your Empowered Rune Weapon on a 1-minute cooldown, so you can maximize burst with Gathering Storms with maximization of using runes to pump out 10+ stacks of Gathering every time you're bursting. Of course, falling down Ice Lance, throwing out big freezing fogs to maximize that consistency burst pressure. Actually probably being roughly around our top bursting spec at the moment when it comes to PvP. Of course, you come in on a target, same thing, it's same concept. Throw out obliterates insanely fast into the target. You know, apply your dots whenever you either get a proc or you can do it before, and then follow the same steps of maximizing, of course, that Gathering Storms to deal insane damage. And that's really about it when it comes to this spec. Now, these are, of course, the two specs I've come to like after the nerf. My opinion on Frost DKs after the nerf is not very high, obviously. And as far as being which is better, Frost or Unholy at the moment, I definitely got to give it to Unholy in PvP. I feel like Frost is they killed the single target DPS, even though we still have some AoE DPS and we can still hit, you know, top 3 on Battleground charts. The single target is what they actually killed doing this, and I'm actually astounded that they ventured this far into it. Like, they nerfed it this far. I can't believe 75% mastery was so inconceivable in my mind. I still don't think it processes correctly with how much they decided to change that. It's insane. But before I go on a rant, before I start raging, before I start cussing, we're gonna end this video on this, because as you guys know, it's not good what they did. Like, I don't even know. Until next time, leave a like on this video. This was your boy Hazed.
At the edge of the hellfire, it's the